What's interesting though is that, and the pandemic has really accelerated, you hear this word a lot, accelerated the shift to e-commerce. And let's look at the food and beverage industry or grocery, for example. It is $1 trillion industry in the US, just in the US, $1 trillion. And before the pandemic, it was single digit percentage e-commerce, not much money being spent online relative to retail. Retail was still the story. And all of a sudden, when COVID changed the rules of society, when all of a sudden it was awkward or maybe even irresponsible to go into a store if you could avoid it, that drove a lot of shopping online. A lot of people tried online grocery for the first time and really started to rely on it. Before it was a convenience, kind of a luxury. My favorite was like, oh, I'll order my groceries online from the plane as I'm flying home. And it's like, wow, what a kind of jerk are you? Great, cool, man, do that. But all of a sudden it became a necessity. It became essential infrastructure. And a lot of people who tried online grocery for the first time because the pandemic forced them to are sticking with it. We find that in our research that most people who actually spend more money online for grocery prefer it. They like it more than they like buying stuff in the store. Now, what's interesting about that is again, $1 trillion market heading online. But as money heads online, it doesn't just go to the places it went offline. If you were doing your grocery shopping at, say, Kroger or Albertsons or something like that, when you do your grocery shopping online, it doesn't mean you're just going to go to Kroger.com and spend all your money there. We see what's called a share shift often when a market goes digital. We saw it in media. The money and the attention in digital media has not gone to the websites of local newspapers, TV stations, and radio stations. It has gone to Google, Facebook, blogs, Twitter, all kinds of other, Netflix, YouTube. Attention and spending goes to a new place when it heads online. So one of my favorite slides in the deck that I produce, the Consumer Trends deck, is titled, What's a Grocery Store? As money heads online, it's not just going to traditional grocery stores, it's going to places like meal kit services or meal delivery services or online native grocers like Thrive Market or Imperfect Foods, or this new wave of 15-minute grocery delivery services, which kind of started in Europe. There's one called Gorillas that's opening in the US. There's ones called Fridge No More. There's obviously Instacart. By the way, Walmart, Target, they've captured a lot of that money because they've figured out how to be online and how to be digital. Obviously, Amazon has captured probably the largest single share of any of that spending and will continue as it builds out its grocery business. But there's so much more opportunity now to be a direct to consumer brand. And if, let's say, for every 10% of the grocery market that goes online, that is literally $100 billion that is open to e-commerce companies that did not have to exist in that physical world that was dominated by large retailers. So sorry, that was long-winded, but there's just so much opportunity that exists now because a market is going digital that didn't exist before. So you could scale a direct-to-consumer food business in a way that you could never do before. You could grow a category in a way that you could never do before. Sure, you're going to get a level of scale when you go into Target and Walmart that you weren't getting before as well, but you don't have to. At least you don't have to as quickly now, and you can hopefully do it on your own terms. To me, that was one of the more interesting things. Harry's, the razor company, was in the process of being acquired by a legacy CPG company that owned Schick razors. And the deal was ultimately blocked by the US government because when Harry's went into retail, big retail, which by the way, they were able to do on their own terms, they were able to do with merchandising that none of the other shaver brands did. And they've all since copied, but it was such a boon to their business, and it actually reflected in lower pricing in the market in a way that it was actually an antitrust problem for them doing this deal. So there is still a lot of power to be a big retailer, and there's still a lot of pricing power that you can get once you get into big retail, but it's no longer an essential.